Right.
Okay. And anyway, without going into the entire thing, there are 12 vortexes around the world, strategically placed, that appear to be. I want to touch on this just so people. Bear's pissed off in the background when I talk about this. So, anyway, for those who can hear him, it's all fine. These things might be navigational waypoints or points in themselves for UFOs. Oh boy, first time I've ever said it on the show. UFOs guiding themselves to Earth and doing things. The reason I say that they have. I'm saying they did because there's an isotope 26, which is a derivative of the carbon molecule, is in the dirt on all of these places, and it emits tremendous radiation. At the end of the day, what it really does is, it's happening right now to planet Earth, and it's not being talked about. It's slowing the core of the Earth that spins. And when that thing spins, anytime you get things rubbing against each other, it's an electrical charge, like the actual physical ground, the crust we stand on, and then the molten core below it. And it creates a magnetosphere around the world, which deflects the radiation coming from the sun at us. So we can live in harmony with this magnetosphere. Well, what these isotopes that they've recently discovered on the 12 vortexes, and one of them in the Bermuda Triangle, one of them was by the Malaysian jet that disappeared in that ocean, and so forth. These isotopes are not made on this planet. It's not humanly made. So with that in mind, Debra, do you think UFOs in some capacity, way, shape, or form are spirit? Or some sort of spirit realm?
There's a lot of different theories on this. And I personally know somebody who talks to or is part of an interdimensional being. I also know people that I have read that I have seen their loved ones come from other places, other planets other than here. I've seen UFOs myself, and I have a theory also that I've thought on and off that maybe in the Bible when it talks about when God made the demons not be able to take human form and not be able to come here anymore to procreate with human women, I think that they tried to find a way around it by creating or trying to create, interdimensional beings that were part demon and part human, which is why so many people that are abductees talk about, all the sexual type stuff that they've done, the experiments and such that they've done with them. That's one theory. There's a lot of theories out there on it.
There are, and it would be, as a pilot, I don't want to go into it too heavily, but I have seen things. I'll leave it at that. But you talked about, and my past life regression, Fran told me that even she had seen me as a blue and white entity on a planet, and whatever a planet may be, but in another dimension or in space and time, whether it be in our galaxy, whether it be in our universe, or whether it be in the multiverse. And the multiverse goes on forever and ever. If you don't have an idea of what a galaxy or a universe is, I'm not going to go into it other than we revolve around a sun that's a solar system. The sun is a star, and that star is one of 1 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Billions and trillions of stars. And then the next closest to us, M34, is Andromeda, which we can see on summer nights if you look through binoculars off of the Pleiades, a little bit up to the left, the sister stars. You can see it. It's a fuzzy thing, but that's actually another galaxy. Now, these galaxies are trillions of stars, just like the Milky Way, and then there's trillions of galaxies. And that's just one universe. So we don't know how far it goes to the other side. The thing is, she said, and then beyond that, there are the theoretical physicists suggest highly that there are multiverses that take every decision you didn't make, and it's made there, and then it's made there, and then it's made there. Every possible decision point. So you, as some creature, the outcome of every possibility is in the multiverses that continue to go on. All right, that's enough I'm going to say about it, because Spirit, she told me I was a blue and white entity that came from a faraway planet. And I asked, and I didn't get it, and we ran out of time, but I wanted to ask, was it a planet that we, as biologically what we are here, could we live on that planet? And we didn't quite get that. So I was going to ask you, Deb, and we were talking, was some of these planets elsewhere habitable by us in our form now?
I don't think they are. Not in the form that we're in now.
Right. And any time that scientists blast off rockets looking for life, they're looking for life in the format that we are. Life may not look like us in other places. It may not be there. It may not move. We don't know what life, the definition of true life is. We only have one depiction of us, and that's us. Spirit, I believe, is life. I don't know what your opinion of that. It has energy, and it has reasoning, and it has emotion, right?
Right.
So I consider it life, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's go about that. In your past life regressions, where do you think you've been?
I've been told that I was a gypsy. So I was a gypsy at one point. I also go back to biblical times. And I also was told once I was a Japanese gardener, which is where I guess I got my love of gardening and stuff like that. But also, I was told that a 16th century, I think it was mid-16th century, I was a plantation owner's daughter. And also at one point I was married to a king and was beheaded.
Say that last part again. You were what?
I was married to a king and beheaded at one point.
Well, you might not have been in France, were you?
I'm not sure where it was. I've had probably 2 or 3 different past regressionists. Most of them have agreed and have said the gypsy thing, even though they didn't know the prior, what the prior one had said. Most of them had said the 16th century, and most of them have said biblical. But as far as the other ones, I'm not sure about. I had one lady say that it was I was a Japanese gardener, and I had another one say that this and that. So I didn't get into it that long, because when you do a reading like that, they're typically not very long.
Yeah. I have read the Bible back and forth a couple of times, and I love these other groups that go, yeah, scriptures, shut up. Because you can Google scriptures now. It ticks me off. Before the internet, I was I read it. So anyway, what I do know is in Ephesians, it says that you will not remember the former, which to me indicates that what we were, we won't remember. Now, there's some shows on TV where these little children have the ability to kind of remember accurately what they were, which is amazing. I don't know if you've seen the show, but it's dead on. These kids know exactly what happened. And then they go to the places, or if some of the people are still alive, like the Twin Towers, some of them, these kids have already come back and know the family, exactly where they lived, knew their nicknames. It's just they were right on. This does happen. But I think that for the most part, we don't remember the former, only because can you imagine all that luggage, mental luggage, from all these past lives and in dealing with just one life now?
Yeah, our spirit self can handle that.
There you go. That's what I wanted to hear you say, because I was going to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, when we go back, when we go to our collective soul self, then we, have all those memories and all those experiences and all that learning and the wisdom, which is why sometimes, too, you have kids that seem like old souls, because they've come back a lot of times, and that kind of is in their energy. So you can tell that they've been here many times and that they carry some of that wisdom back with them this time, even though they might not remember it like those other kids. And I want to say, too, the reason that those other kids are starting to remember now, or kids nowadays are starting to remember, is because of the energy change that I was talking about earlier. The vibration is different. The cracks to different dimensions have widened, and there's a whole bunch of different reasons, but that's why kids now are starting to remember. And they say that our self, what is it when you sleep? Your subconscious self. Some of the dreams that you have are related to that. So I guess we do kind of remember. We do have an affinity for something that we don't have any reason to have an affinity towards, or we have a fear towards something. I have a fear of deep water. Now, I swim like a fish. I'm not afraid of pools. I'm not afraid of water in itself. But deep water, for some reason, gives me a panic attack. And one of the ladies said that I had drowned or had saved my brother or something when, way back in one of my lives. So that's not something I would I have no reason to fear deep water. But, that could be why.
Here's what I know. The more spiritually involved we are, the easier this life is to get through, isn't it?
I think if you chose what you did before you came here, I think it helps a lot. Yeah, because before living a spiritual life, and this is, people think spiritual life is going around with a cross on your back, whacking you with fish hooks and, and mumbling words. Yeah, and punishing yourself. A spiritual life is recognizing it and knowing that there's one true God that manages it. Oh, God, how smart that man must be. He is called a he, so I'm going to leave it at that. But actually, it says he/she.
All right, well,
in the original text, so you can.
Okay. Well, he's a he/she.
Well, we all resemble or take after him. So
we do.
Therefore, that would make us neither man or woman.
I think you're right, because in spirit, I don't think there's any gender, and that's what some of these kids said. There was no gender.
I know. Are you talking about like when I was actually a male gardener?
No, in spirit, when we.
But I see spirit, and when I see spirit is definitely, they will show me as male or female to the people that, now this is the key thing, to the people that are here now, because that's who they were